Hey traders, Raghee here, and I have the same question on my mind that many of you probably have on yours if you're looking for upside follow-through in a number of markets. And that is, are we out of the woods yet? Now, the idea that the markets are in downtrends really have to be something more than a bunch of big down candles. In fact, this morning on the pregame show, our Charts and Coffee show, I mentioned that usually large candles like we had right here on, well, let's start back with Friday. Then we had the follow through. That looks more like capitulation to me, because what I have found is those moves that organize into downtrends don't start off necessarily with this much fireworks. They're usually very quiet. They're down days. They're series of lower lows and lower highs. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like that small snowball that turns into a big snowball as it's rolling downhill. It starts to gain speed. It usually isn't like an NHRA, my drag racers out there. Downtrends usually don't start like a drag race. And that's why I have seen over my career that large candles typically are more of a capitulation. Okay, so that's anecdotal. That's just an observation. But let's talk about the levels we need to watch. The Russell getting back above the 200, that's a big deal. Because if we can stabilize above here, there's a sentiment shift that occurs both above and below. And the fact that we didn't establish multiple days, I mean, a longer period of time below that 200 exponential, to me, really does reflect a lack of conviction from sellers. All right, so I think the Russell still has a little bit to prove to get above the 200. The crude oil market has a lot to prove. So now we start to use highs and lows and patterns. The one that I'm watching is the potential for, right here, this candle, a minor low. If this is indeed a minor low, I'll be looking for this VWAP right there, and even this point of control right here to be where the bullishness has to come in to show that the bulls are back in charge. At that point, now we have to take on the resistance of the 200, back, getting back above the equator. But the crude oil market has a lot more to prove to me. Although it's pretty interesting, we left this wick behind on the day that OPEC met, but we have a lot more to go, a few more steps before this looks a little bit more promisingly bullish like the Russell. Well, let's go to some obvious places where it's easier to be bullish. And two of these spots are levels that are markets I talked about yesterday. One was the NASDAQ and the other is XLK. No red grab candles. A nice bounce off the 55 exponential prop dot. Back in the wave, only neutral blue grab. And, in many ways, this too is a minor low. So again, if I squeeze in a little bit, what do we have here? We have this lower low here, right? Surrounded by the higher low, and I need a higher low tomorrow. And if this higher low can also take out the resistance of today's high, that would be the completion of the minor low pattern, and also a pullback into the wave. You know how much I love that. And overall, gosh, little bit of neutral yellow, but look at this sea of green that preceded it. This is still a market that has predominantly bullish bias. And XLK is even more convincing. If you recall, said, hey, where do we kind of hide out? Where do we take advantage of the pullbacks? Where do we have the healthiest, most resilient uptrends in a wake of, oh my gosh, the government might shut down. Oh my gosh, here comes the variant. Oh my gosh, the taper, right? It's where there is relative outperformance, right? And that's exactly what XLK provided. And sure enough, fantastic pullback, double green environment, all right? And then the last one, and I'm kind of disappointed it didn't pull back more, and that's the dollar. So am I still looking for a little bit more of a dip before we can start thinking bullishly on the dollar? As far as getting in, yes, I'm absolutely bullish the dollar, not because I think so, not simply because the macroeconomics point in that direction, but because technically the structure is there. The grab candles, the wave, the propulsion dot, the JT trend, All my secret squiggles, all my beloved indicators are telling me, look, this is a buy the dip market still. Okay, so whether you want to buy the dip in the dollar or sell the rip in the euro, 6 of one, half dozen the other. So let's not think December's done. Like I said yesterday, I'm not giving up on December. That news yesterday, yes, it cut like a knife, but we want to look for where we are more resilient. And there are corners of this market that are resilient. Please don't look for rotation, sector rotation. Please don't go bottom picking in December. We'll do that in January. We'll talk about that for sure. But please don't do it now. Look at strength. Look at where the strength is. Look for it to get stronger. I'll see you in the next update. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.